Good afternoon on Thanksgiving Day. I thought I'd do a little bit of a follow-up video. Um, there's my beautiful little Schmickles. If it weren't for Schmickles, I'd be completely all alone. And Richard was the one that said, "You better get that dog." I was over in Maui, and I said, "Richard, I want to come home." It was during the COVID, and it was so ridiculous. I said, I am not going to let them jam that gosh damn vaccine in me. And he agreed, and he said, "You stay as long as you have to stay so that you don't have to take that vaccine," because we both knew that vaccine was a killer, not the COVID. The COVID was just a flu. I know a lot of people died. What they said was from the COVID, but it's not true. A lot of people died from in the hospitals because they gave them the exact thing that would kill them, the ventilators and medication that was going to kill them. And you know why? Because for every patient that died from COVID, the hospitals received $10,000. So they helped it along. They did everything they could to kill people. The COVID was just a bad flu, and it was exaggerated as a means of control over the people. That's my opinion, for what it's worth. But I'm just getting to a point that Richard and I, that's how we saw it. And I said, "Richard, I'm not going to put that damn mask on me for 12 hours on the plane." He said, "Don't do it. Just stay until all of this blows over." And we thought it was going to be a few months, and a few months turned into a year, and then a year turned into 2 years, and we were separated for 2 years. And I've been reflecting on that lately. Do you know that we really weren't separated? It's true, physically we were separated, but we were not separated. Every day we talked to each other. Every day we had long conversations. It was interesting because we talked to each other like we didn't, the way we didn't used to do when we were together in the house. But when I was in Maui and he was in the cabin, and when we talked on the phone, it was like, "Hey, you're my best friend, let's talk." And we would talk for a long time, and we just talked about everything, and I just loved him. I just knew, oh, okay, Richard, we're really not separated. Not really. When you're with someone for 48 years, even if you're separated for 2 years, you're not separated. As long as you love each other deeply in your heart, no matter what divides you in the physical world, you are not separated. And that is true when the person goes on to the next heaven. This is not a heaven down here. This is a training course down here. This is, what Plato called the cave. You learn here what you're supposed to try to learn, and the main message that you are supposed to learn on this earth is empathy and having kindness for one another and loving one another. That's it. All this, encyclopedia knowledge, which I studied in philosophy, from Socrates to Sartre and the existentialist, all of it could be summed up in one word: love. That's it. That's what we're here for, to learn, to love one another. That's it. That's the whole meaning of life. And when you start to get angry at somebody, and when you are irritated, you have to just remember, be kind to one another. Because if everybody could just be a little kind to one another, there would be heaven on this earth. But it's not going to happen because of people like Brett, who don't believe in God. They don't have any spiritual principles, and you can't get through to them. There's some people, you just will not get through to them, and it's their own karma, and they have to work it out in their own way. But what I was saying is I was thinking about how we had that 2-year separation, and I was thinking about a movie that I really love, and when her husband died, oh gosh, what is the name of it? Namesake. The Namesake. I read the book. I must have read the book like 3 times. The Namesake, and I love the movie. They did a beautiful job on the movie. The married couple that came from India and came to the United States. And she kept trying to call to find out what was going on with her husband, because he got a teaching position, and he asked her to come along. And she wanted to just stay home. And he had this inner knowledge that he knew she wasn't going to come with him, but he also had some inner knowledge about she needs to know what to do when I'm gone. And it was like he went to this other state to teach at the university, for like a semester. She didn't want to go with him. She wanted to stay at home. He knew, and he didn't push her. He just looked at her when he went. He looked at her with loving eyes when he left. But he had, I think what I'm picking up from that story is that he knew that she had to be prepared, and this was her preparation of being separated from him. Physically, that is, physically. And she, like me with Richard, when I was in Maui, even though we were physically separated, we talked every day. Not just one time, but we would talk like 3, 4, 5 times a day, Like we never talked to each other before in the house. Like, and when I'm home, it's like, okay, shut up. Sometimes I'd start rambling on to him, and he'd look at me and he'd say, he'd be doing something that he was focused on. He'd say, be quiet. And I would never get offended by it, because I knew Richard, I knew he didn't mean it in an insulting way. That was just his way of saying, hey, I'm focused on something here, and you're rambling on with all your blah, 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 But when I was in Maui, and we talked on the phone, it was like we were just talking and talking and talking to each other. It was like going on our first date together or something, It was beautiful. So sometimes the separation brings you closer together, is what I'm trying to say. And so in the movie Namesake, for those of you who've seen it, you're going to remember the scene. She kept trying to call the hospital to find out, because she knew, they talked to each other every day on the phone, and all of a sudden she's not hearing from him, and she's not talking, she's wondering what the hell's going on. And that's what was going on with me. I kept calling Brett, his son, tell me what's going on, and Brett wouldn't give me even the time of day or the courtesy to tell me anything about his father. Nothing. I mean, this man, as a follow-up to my other video, this man has a heart of ice. And I don't know what's wrong with him. He needs therapy. There's something wrong with him. Anyway, he knew I was trying to find out about his father, and he knew, and this was his controlling valve. Jackie's trying to find out about my dad. I'm not even going to talk to her. I'm going to let her hang. I'm going to let her hang on a limb and be tortured so she doesn't even know what's going on. That's what he was thinking. I'm not going to tell her anything so she can be tortured. And I had to call some people on the ranch, the renters, to even try to find out what was going on. Because Brett, his own son, wouldn't tell me. And in the movie Namesake, it was different. She had a loving son, a beautiful son, and who loved his father deeply and had deep respect for his father and mother. That's not Brett. Brett has no respect for anybody. But she kept trying to get a hold of the father, and of her husband. She kept trying to get a hold. What's going on? Something happened, and she found out he's in the hospital, and she's trying to. Nobody calls her back. No doctors. No. Finally, they keep her on hold for a long time, and then finally, they tell her the horrible news that he passed away. And it was just like my Richard. He was fine. Like, she was talking to him just yesterday. He was fine. What's going on? We were talking and then he had a heart attack and he was dead. Just exactly like my Richard. He was fine. Then suddenly he had a heart attack. And it's gone. And when she got the news, I never stop crying when I see that scene. Even before Richard died, when I saw that movie, that one scene, and I don't know if he ever saw me crying, but that one scene, it always broke me up, and I always had to hide my tears. When you're with someone that you love and we're watching a movie together and I'm crying, and I was like a little, you're always a little embarrassed. You don't want the other guy to see you, crying like a baby. And she was, I think for me, I was seeing something in the future, and that's why it hit me so hard in my heart. And I remember that scene where she went from one room to the next room, to the next room, to the next room, and then she went in the garage and she opened up. It was during Christmas time, exactly when my precious Richard died. Exactly right before the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. It was right during Christmas, and she had the Christmas lights on her house, and she opened up the garage door, and she ran out, and then she just wailed. She fell into the grass and wailed like a cry that was like an animal that was wounded in the heart, like a deer that was shot with an arrow. She just fell to the ground. And that's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me when I found out that Richard died. I felt like I'd been shot with an arrow in my heart. And you want to run somewhere, you want to go somewhere, you want to go out into the open, into nature and under the sky, and you just don't know where to go because you want them back so badly. And I just was thinking about that. I was thinking about that movie today, and I'm making this video for my family, Colt and Rebecca and Eddie and Anthony and Jenny and Robert, who I feel so badly for, that his carpet got flooded because, okay, I'm not going to go into that plumbing problem. Robert will get it fixed. If you're listening to this video, we'll get it all worked out. And Rebecca, I promise you, you're going to be so happy because we're going to remodel your bathroom, okay? I don't care how much money it takes. We will do it. I'm making it for a family here on my ranch, this video. And I just wanted to tell you about that movie and how that separation in Maui, just like in the movie where he went to teach in that other state, it was preparation. Get prepared to know what it is without me. And when I was in Maui for that 2 years, it was God letting me know you're going to be without Richard, and it's coming, so be prepared, and this is what it's going to be like. Only it's not true, because like I said, we were always talking, and as long as we were talking, so today I was organizing all his favorite movies, his DVD movies, and Richard was a cowboy at heart, and he had all the Clint Eastwood movies that we used to watch together. He had all the Gunsmoke. He loved Gunsmoke. And Gunsmoke, there was always a moral principle. Always a moral principle. They don't make shows like that anymore, where they teach the kids that there's a moral principle to what is happening here, with making choices between what's good and what's wrong. You don't steal. You don't try to take someone's property away. You don't go in and rob someone that's innocent and without any protection. Back in the day, the women had a very difficult time in the 1800s, and if they didn't have a husband to protect them, they were in trouble. And Gunsmoke, Matt Dillon, he was Richard's hero. Matt Dillon was Richard's hero, and Richard was Matt Dillon. He was Matt Dillon through and through. Best sheriff in the world on this ranch. And yeah, he was Matt Dillon. He was a good man. And he was just like Matt Dillon. And he was like Matlock, too, the lawyer. And he was also, like Clint Eastwood, the good guy that got, the bad guys would do an injustice to him. And Clint Eastwood, the saying, make my day. And that's kind of what I feel like saying to Brett. Yeah, you go ahead. You keep being the way you are, selfish and raiding, and how you could take my mother's money, my computers, the jackets. I had a sleaze, because I'm thinking he's a sleazeball. I had a cheese slicer. He even went through our silverware and stole the cheese slicer. I mean, my God, this guy, there's no bottom to him. But Richard was Matt Dillon. He was the good sheriff. And I wanted to tell you, and I'm just going to end with this. I kept hearing this song, and it's not one of the songs that, it's not my style of music. Although I used to, when it would come on the radio, I kind of liked it. It was John Denver's Country Road. And out of all the country music, that was a song that I really did like. And I kept hearing that song, and there was another song by Bob Dylan that kept coming back. That somehow it just kept playing in my head. I knew Richard was sending these songs to me. I knew he was sending those songs to me because they represented him. And he sent the song, Bob Dylan, Knock Knock Knocking on Heaven's Door. And he was like the sheriff, and Brett wore him down, and things wore him down in life. And in the lyrics, it says that he couldn't wear that badge anymore. He had to take that badge off. And he didn't say this in the lyrics, but it was like, I'm giving up now. I have to give up my badge. And I knew he sent that song to me, and when I saw the lyrics, I said, my God, Richard, why are you sending that to me? That is the saddest song I ever... How can I listen to that? And as soon as I heard the beginning of the lyrics, please take this badge from me, God, because I can't take it anymore. I knew it was him giving up his sheriff badge. He was telling me I had to give up the sheriff badge. It was just too much for him. The responsibilities of the ranch, the taxes, the problems, it was time for him to go home. And then that song stopped playing in my head, and then suddenly another song came to me, and it kept playing over and over in my head, and it was John Denver's Country Road. And in the song it says, country road, take me home. And I knew he was telling me, it's my time to go home now. Country road, take me home. And if you listen to that song, just look it up on YouTube. I want you to look it up, you guys. Just listen to it. It's only a few minutes long. And the Bob Dylan one as well, Knock, Knock, Knocking on Heaven's Door, and John Denver's Country Road. And when you listen to the Country Road, it's Richard saying, I'm home. It's okay. I'm happy and I'm home now, with a capital H. And of course I broke down crying when I heard that song, Country Road, because it was him. It was him telling me, country road, take me home. And that's all I needed to hear. Country road, take me home. Cowboy, both of them cowboy songs. I just want to end by saying, Richard, I love you. I love you, and we'll never be separated. We will never, ever be separated. And I can't wait till my time comes so I can be with you completely, instead of being stuck in the limitations of the physical body. And I will do what I can to take care of your ranch to the best of my ability. And that's my prayer. And thank you, Colt.